All right. I think now we're done. Thank you so much for being patient with us. Um, just a little bit of housekeeping. Please, if you have any questions during this presentation, you can certainly pop them in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. If we're able to answer these questions immediately, we certainly will. If we've definitely got some time set aside after the presentation. So if you'd like to hang on a little bit afterwards, we can really get into deeper dive some of your questions. Right, so I'm just going to kick off and introduce the presenters to you. So I'm Nolene Foster and I head up Moderna's FARO division. I've been with Moderna for close on to 4 years now. So anything to do with laser scanning usually lands upon my plate. Next up is Lisbeth Buick. She's founder and CEO of BeeMobile. She also lives in the beautiful little town of Ghent in Belgium. She has over 12 years experience in laser scanning and the mobile mapping industry. And of course, together with her team of engineers, they're continually pushing the boundaries with R&D within the mobile mapping solutions. Next is Pieter Botha, and he's our local and resident in-house FARO expert. He has a wealth of knowledge in scanning, and of course, he's had the privilege to scan on very diverse projects for our clients, from oil and gas to architectural and engineering. There is very little that Piet hasn't yet scanned. And last up is Abdul Sagi, and he's our FARO expert. He's also our channel manager for Africa. He resides in Morocco, and he has been with FARO for almost a year, and he has worked in the tech sector globally for over 17 years. So he has a wealth of experience and knowledge and a very delightful French accent. And so without any further ado, let's kick off this webinar, and we're just going to hand over straight to Abdul. Or Lisbeth, she's going to share the slide, and then Abdul's going to start introducing first. Thank you so much.
Proud to join you guys and speak for the first time with the South African professional. So as Noreen introduced me, so I'm working with FARO since 2 years now, and I have more than 18 years experience in technology business. So I work in North America and Canada, but also I had extensive experience in Africa. So I will have only one slide. So here you are seeing the FARO Focus S series. So the FARO Focus S series is a laser scanner. So what it does exactly is capture a point cloud. People that they are familiar with the laser scanning, they will recognize what I'm meaning with point cloud. But just to explain it briefly, the point cloud is a database containing points in the 3D coordinate system. So this is the information that we can capture to a laser scanner. So the laser scanner hits the mirror that you are seeing on the middle, spin around and make a full rotation, 30-60 degrees, and captures all the things that we have in our environment. What we can do with the laser scanner, we can do a lot of application. We can use it for architecture, for engineering, for surveying, for heritage preservation. We can use it also for public safety. I'm talking about forensic, or let's say the legal medicine. And also what's interesting with the FARO Focus is very versatile equipment. So that's mean we can use it as a static laser scanner. We can put it and scan high building, or let's say infrastructure, or we can use it for facility management. But also we can take the scanner and fix it with different type of equipment. Like we can fix it with vehicle, and this is the topic of our webinar. Once we fix the laser scanner with BeeMobile system, it's like we create the mobile mapping system. So this is the picture that you are seeing. So the laser scanner fixed it with BeeMobile. We can also use the scanner and fix it with a drone. So it's very interesting if you want to capture the reality from the year, let's say for high building or for big spaces. We can use also the laser scanner FARO Focus for indoor mobile mapping. So the picture that you are seeing on your right. So this is the trolley, and it's very interesting for big spaces and also for professionals that they are looking to capture the reality, let's say for big spaces. I'm talking for indoor. The last product that we just released with Boston Dynamics. So this is the robot, the dog robot that you are seeing on the pictures. It's very interesting for construction business, because as you know, sometimes human cannot access to some areas, especially if it's dangerous or if it's complex to access there. So now we can use robot to access to those areas. Here I'm putting some filters. So the scanner that you are seeing on the pictures is the smallest and also the smallest scanner, but also the high performance scanner that you can find on the market. The FARO Focus has, the ACE350 has a range of 350 meters and can capture 2 million points per second. In terms of accuracy, we have a scanner with 1 millimeter accuracy. All the scanners that we have, they are certified IP rating 54. That means they can support, let's say, you can use it in the water area, and that means it's protected. And also what's interesting, we can use the scanner in extended temperature range. It scans from -20 and we can go up to 55. So that means you can use it in very hot countries like here in Africa, or you can also use it in some cold countries like in Canada or Russia or other countries. So yeah, so I'm not going on the deep details in terms of laser scanning, how it works, our solution. We are manufacturer of hardware and also software. If you have any interest to understand how it works, where we can use the laser scanner, please drop an email to Modena or just keep a message on the chat box, and we can call you later and organize a free demo for you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Lisbeth from FARO BeeMobile. First of all, thanks for attending the webinar. I really appreciate this. And the next 15-20 minutes, I would like to introduce you to mobile mapping, and of course, mainly to the BeeMobile system. So I will give you some introduction and answers on what is mobile mapping, how can you use it, of course, what are the advantages, and mainly what are the applications. Okay, as Nolene probably told you at the end, we have a chat with questions and answers. Please feel free to ask some questions. Let's start with the FARO scanners. As my colleague from FARO, Abdel, he introduced the possibilities of FARO scanners, and this is a really unique concept. The FARO scanner, you can use it on a tripod, as you probably usually do every day. So you can use your FARO scanner indoor as outdoor. So we call it the stationary scanning. A second possibility is having your scanner in a moving position. So that means you scan and you move at the same time. A first system is the BeeMobile system. That means it's a small mapping system which you can mount on a vehicle. As the system is so small, you can mount it on different kinds of vehicles. Even on a golf cart, even on a train or a tram, it doesn't matter. You can mount it on different type of vehicles, okay? The most common use is the car or an ATV. A third possibility is the UAV. The UAV can carry the FARO scanner, and the applications are a little bit different, of course, than the BeeMobile, but the way how you use the Stormy is almost the same as the BeeMobile. The only difference is, of course, you have to pilot the UAV, but the workflow, the hard and software are exactly the same. What is, of course, important and what is always the main question, does my FARO scanner fit or can I mount it on the BeeMobile? Here in the blue circle, you see what type of scanners are compatible. The S120, that's a really old one, let's say the first one, which is released by FARO, the Focus, this is compatible, same as the X130 and the SX330. The new series, the S scanners, they're also all compatible, but they should have automation mode. I recommend you to contact your FARO sales team or contact person. An automation mode is an extra option. You don't see it by eye, it's not visible. I can show you this in the next slide, but it's a kind of internal, let's say, interface electronic, which allows you that the scanner does not turn, but only the mirror is spinning. This slide show you on, let's say, on the left side, the scanner, the S series scanners. On the bottom, that's how you can verify if your scanner has an automation mode. There is a metal plate, and it's a kind of a circle with 2 screws. If you unmount this, then you see some connection points. If you find these connection points, that means you have automation mode. Feel free, please, to contact your FARO person to investigate if you have automation mode. On the right side, there you see the picture of the older versions. There have always, or let's say all the systems of that type, they have standard automation mode. If you really want to be sure, you will see also on the bottom, there's a kind of a metal rectangle, a metal plate. You can remove it and you will see, let's say, the metal pins. The metal pins are important to connect with the helical adapter. The helical adapter is built in the BeeMobile. So the only what you need is having a scanner. Having a scanner, we provide you the helical adapter, which is built in, nothing more, nothing less. Maybe a last point, the M70 scanners from FARO does not have automation mode, does not have the option, and are not compatible. Of course, these scanners are compatible with the BeeMobile, they're compatible with the UAV, and you can use them on a tripod. You do not have to change anything. We learn you how to make or create a helical profile in the scanner. Here we have some facts about the BeeMobile. What is important to memorize or to know is the scanner can be mounted easily to the BeeMobile kit with a few screws. At the end of the call, we can also share some YouTube videos, and it shows exactly step by step how to mount your scanner on the BeeMobile. As it is a really compact size, the total weight is about 11 kilos. This is the scanner included. What is also important to know is that you have to put the scanner, the battery of the scanner, the battery in the FARO scanner, okay? The BeeMobile has a different battery. Many questions raised, okay, I see there are suction cups, does it really hold? They are all afraid, of course, well, what in case if there is a crash or something else? Does it really carry that weight? Well, there is an official certificate that each suction cup carries 25 kilos, depending on the type. So we have several types. On this picture, we have 18. Each suction cups, we can go higher, but the average is about 20-25. So keep in mind, we have a total weight of 11 kilos. So you are more than safe. What is really a big advantage on that mobile mapping system is you have only a 4-step workflow to start the system, but also to stop the system. So you work in a certain way, like 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you want to stop the system, then you work in the opposite way. It's an extremely easy system to work with. You don't have to mess with cables. You don't have to mess with a lot of laptops. You only need to have this. The pieces you see on the picture on the left side, that's only what you need. We also have some indications. This means the LED indications. That's only for your information, meaning if you have satellite connection or you have good GNS connection. You will see this more in the next pictures. One of the questions is, of course, how long can I drive or use the BeeMobile? Well, let's say the battery of the BeeMobile, it have a life duration of 8 hours. But what is more important, there is a limitation on the battery of the scanner. It, of course, depends on the resolution and quality. You can always change that settings. But from my experience, you can drive between 3 and 4 hours. But it's not a big worry because you can unmount, you can stop, unmount, you put another battery or another SD card, and you can start immediately again. So again, it's a scan and drive at the same time. Here, I would like to show you some facts. This is a picture on the left side. It's a small box, but this is a travel case. So all the pieces are included. So again, a nice summary. As I told you, the scan time is about 4 hours, limited on the battery, of course, of the FARO scanner. One of also the main questions is, how fast can I drive? Well, I'll tell you, you can drive very fast, but you can also drive really slow. What is really important to know is the faster you drive, the less density you have. Keep in mind, the mirror is only spinning, so it generates scan lines. If you drive really fast, then you have more distance between your scan lines. If you drive slow, then you have a quite dense point cloud. So the final answer is, for what application do we need to be mobile and what's the expected result? It has no influence on the accuracy, but it has influence on the density. So we recommend between 50 and 80 kilometers an hour. We can share you data later where you can really see the difference in speed and density. A second main question is, of course, what about the accuracy? Good to know is we have the relative accuracy and we have an absolute accuracy. What is relative accuracy? Well, relative accuracy is, for example, you want to measure the points or measure a distance in your point cloud between a certain points. As an example, you have railways. You have two rails. You want to measure from one rail to the other rail. You want to know the exact distance to see if there is any deformation or deviation. Then we speak about relative accuracy. We measure in the point cloud. Thanks to the FARO scanner, we have a really high accuracy. That's between 1 and 3 millimeters. That's extremely good. If you speak about absolute accuracy, that means the global positioning of your point cloud. Yes, so we deliver the point cloud in UTM. That's the global coordinate system. How accurate is your point cloud positioned in the global or UTM coordinate system? It's also depending on applications. I give you an example. You want to measure some roads and you want to put it in a local coordinate system. Then we speak about absolute accuracy. We have an average about 3 and 5 centimeters, but you can increase the accuracy if you use ground control points, so GCPs, which are measured by a total station or GPS. There are several ways how to improve it. What is also really important to know, we do not have a camera. That means the point clouds are not colorized. It has a reason for that, why there is no camera integrated. And let's say it has an added value to see pictures, but the final density and the point cloud, it is really, really helpful to do engineering and further analysis. But what is more important is, of course, the workflow. What is a unique concept on BeeMobile? It is small, but also the speed for post-processing. As we have not a lot of features, cables, a lot of other stuff, we can generate a point cloud extremely fast. I will show you in the next slides, but how to use the software is extremely easy. So that's a really difference with other mobile mapping systems. It's so easy that you don't need to, let's say, to mess with a lot of other accessories or cameras or cables, but we really focus on good quality and accurate data. And the last point, what is really good to know is you can only use the BeeMobile outdoor, not indoor. The reason for this is we have satellites, we need to make connection with satellites, and indoor that is not possible. Of course, there are other solutions like the FARO Swift, which allows you to scan indoor. Also good to know, keep in mind, you can always combine the scans on a tripod with the BeeMobile and with the FARO Swift. I will not go really in depth about the components, but what is important, maybe let's start on the left side. We have the power button. That's always step one. We use an IMU. An IMU, that's from Applanix. What is an IMU? An IMU positions your scanner. That means it's moving the whole time, but he should measure the exact position. What is also good to know is you have one big scan. So you don't need targets at all. You don't need to have spheres. But if you drive, you have one big data set. But as your scanner is moving the whole time, it's correcting the position and the movements of your scanner. On the bottom, you see a small door, that's a battery. And of course, you have 4 section cups. Also good to know you can remove the section cups and you can mount, for example, the BeeMobile on a plate, which you can maybe mount on a boat or a train. So these are flexible. On the right side, on the top, we have an antenna because we should have connection with the satellites. We use a Trimble antenna. Of course, we have the FARO scanner. That's another step. Then we see 2 buttons at the front of the BeeMobile. You see here 4 figures in red, and these are really the steps. So step 1 is power on. You have step 3, step 4 is start IMU. Of course, second step is start the scanner, and then last step is start logging. That's it, and you can drive. If you want to stop the system, you work in the opposite way. And next important step is, of course, people ask us, what kind of software do I need? Well, we need 2 types of software. First, this is PostPack from Applanix. And the second software is BeeFlex. I will not really go in depth and too much detail about post-processing because I can speak 1 or 2 hours and give you a lot of information. But what is good to know is we have 3 sources of information. The first one is the data on the SD card. Again, what is important to know is once you start the system and you start driving or moving, it generates data and it starts creating your FLS. If you drive a half an hour or 1 hour or 2 hours, to once you stop the system, then it stops generating the FLS and you have one big FLS format. Okay, so one drive is one FLS format. It doesn't matter how fast you drive, how long you drive, but you have one FLS. You don't need targets, you don't need to spheres, even you don't have to register any scans. A second source of information is the BeeMobile. Why I have mentioned the BeeMobile, we have an IMU on board. The IMU, we have to download the data from the IMU. And the third source of information is the base station. Base station gives you the position of the satellites. I explained it really easy, but let's say you can make use of the network, general network, but you can only download the data then as from midnight. If you have an own base station, then you can download immediately. A first step is we generate a trajectory. I can maybe show that in the next step. So what we do is we download the data from the satellites, okay? So we generate trajectory. What you see here in the picture is it was, let's say, a job at a chemical plant. So we drove, let's say, really parallel between installations, and it shows you a trajectory, okay? This trajectory can be increased by adding the base station data. So that's the first step. It's really a drag and drop solution. You drag and you drop the data from the IMU. And in the second phase, you drag and drop the data from the base station. You say post-processing and you export. It's in fact a 5-minute job. It goes really fast, but that's downloading the data from the base station. I go to the previous slide. Once you have the data from the base station, we would like to combine or marry the data from the IMU with the data from the FARO scanner. Because if you have the FARO scanner data, the FLS, you can open that data, but you will not see data which you can use. It will be a flat line. But if you use the data from the IMU, it will correct the positioning and it will correct the data. So what does BeeFlex? It blends and it marries the data from the FLS, from the FARO scanner, with the data from the Applanix. The final output is an E57 and or LAS format. Many people are, let's say, familiar with these formats. These formats can be used in many kinds of software. Of course, you can read it in Recap, all kinds of Autodesk. Of course, you can read it in Scene, FARO Scene, and build it. So it's really a common format. And this is useful then for starting engineering. I will turn over then to the BeeFlex software. As explained, it's, let's say, it's again a really useful and user-friendly system, BeeFlex software, I'm sorry. So what you see, you read in the trajectory, then you can select strips. You can tell BeeFlex, well, I just want to have these kilometers or this angle or this strip, and I want to export. You select them, you see that on Google Maps, and you say start. And depending, of course, on the size, it takes a few minutes up to a half an hour. It's, again, really user-friendly. Keep in mind the point clouds will be delivered in UTM coordinates. You can always convert to your local coordinate system. There are many software packages on the market, but even you can do it in Recap. You can do it in Cloud Compare, or you can use GCPs, Ground Control Points. Of course, one of the questions, why should I use the BeeMobile? Are they applications? Maybe there are applications I overlook. I give you here a short summary of success stories or customers who used the BeeMobile, and it gives you an idea what can you do. But I can tell you, once you have a BeeMobile in your hands and you, let's say you play with the BeeMobile, you will see so much more possibilities that you are now only thinking of. You will see, oh, we have that kind of project, or we have their business, we can let it grow. So once you have the data or you use the BeeMobile, you will see much more opportunities than you now think of. Again, please only use outdoor, not indoor. That's really important to know. This is a case study. This is really a case study which shows you the difference if you use it on a tripod or on a BeeMobile. We did that exercise together with a customer. And what was the goal here? Just to measure a really, really small city. I show you here in the picture below, it's about 3-4 streets. But we did this analyze with scanning on a tripod. So we scanned on the left side and on the right side of the scanner. And as you can see here, we took 95 scan positions. Even it was not really detailed scanning, but that was scanning, let's say, every 50 or 100 meters, depending on. So we spent a few days on scanning, and we have, of course, a few days registration time. We did exactly the same exercise with the BeeMobile, and there is, of course, an extreme difference. We spent 15 minutes to drive. It was only one drive, and the post-processing time is 1.5 hours. This picture above shows you the density. From my memory, I think we drove about 15 kilometers an hour, something like this. But you will be surprised how fast you can generate data. And of course, what is really important, how many man hours can I save? And this is what you can really see. You have 2 man hours, let's say it's a half a day job. If you compare it, and you need, let's say, almost 1 week to generate and capture the data. This is another case study of a customer who invested and purchased a BeeMobile system for railways. This is also in the city. And what is the goal of this is they mounted on a kind of a tram, and they drove really slow here. I think it was about 20 up to 30 kilometers an hour. But first it was for investigation because they want to renew the rails, but also to see the deviations because it's measured in Ghent, in my city. The streets are really old, but they want to expand and they want to change. And here you see on, let's say on this side, the deviations because there were some technical problems. Let's say doing analysis, there are a really big list of software. Even from my point, this customer uses it in Revit, make some sections, and you can see deviations. So you can make sections every 10 meters, every 15 meters, and see where are deviations. So what is the final thing here? And it's the same once you do a scan on a tripod. At the end, you have a point cloud. And with that point cloud, you start your job. Basic engineering, detail engineering, analysis. With the BeeMobile, it's exactly the same. The output is a point cloud. And from that, you start with working with the point cloud in the case where you would like to use it. So I would like to close with a final answer. And of course, telling you that BeeMobile is a unique concept. A good, let's say, a unique selling point is you have one LiDAR. One LiDAR which you can use in multiple ways. This is really a unique concept worldwide. People who are already familiar with the FARO scanner, they just have to invest in a BeeMobile, and let's say they can immediately start their business. They don't need to invest in a LiDAR anymore. That's the first point. Of course, what is also unique is an extremely fast system, and it goes quite fast and easy if you want to train your customers or your colleagues. Let's say hardware-minded, maybe it takes 1 hour software, it's maximum 1 day training. A good point on this is, as explained earlier, you can mount it on different vehicles. The suction cups are removable and you can mount it on every kind of system or ATV or boat or other things. It's survey grade. Let's say if you use GCPs, depending on the absolute and relative accuracy. And mainly, what is of course the big questions, it is an affordable system. Your contacts, your FARO sales team or Modena contacts, they can give you more information about the pricing if you want to purchase one. And we have together with FARO and also a really attractive try-buy program. And this helps you to understand how to use the BeeMobile and how to expand your business. So thanks for attending. I will leave now the next slide to Nolene and Peter. And please feel free later in this webinar to ask some questions. Thank you.
Right, so I think just from our side, what we wanted to just show is a little bit of our own laser scanning experiences. So really from Moderna's side, what we'd like to share with you, some of our case studies. We, of course, have clients with very diverse needs, and we have scanned in some very interesting places. Often the challenging part is to really understand our clients' end deliverable and what they want to achieve with their point cloud data. And more importantly, how exactly they're going to be putting their laser scanner to use. And of course, it's for us to train and teach and the best techniques and practices for our clients to apply laser scanning going forward. We certainly believe with the right tools and guidance, we're able to upskill and arm all our clients with good laser scanning techniques. Peter, I'm going to hand over to you.
So here we have a sample of a high quality scan of a mill. So this particular client wanted the mill liners inside to be scanned high detail for wear and tear, and also to do volumetric calculations with the bore load of the mill inside. And with the help of FARO's advanced software, all the above was easily achieved. So with this fly-through, it's a good example showing the Revit model overlaid on the point cloud. The client's focusing attention especially on facade and the slope of the ground, and mobile mapping, something like this in the future would certainly save a tremendous amount of time. Here we have another high quality scan. This is a real testament to the quality and output of the scanner. You will notice the little white spheres dotted on the sides. These are called the registration targets and registration spheres, and they prove to be invaluable, especially in situations where accuracy is of great importance. And here's a little room, and there is little room for deviation on the tolerances. The smallest details can be captured in the highest congested areas. So what advantages is there of 3D scanning data? So you are able to scan at any time, day or night. The FARO scanner can scan in 2% light, that is basically complete darkness. You can bring the site back into your office and interrogate and investigate it from the comfort of your own chair. And there are no site revisits, and you cut down on travel costs. And the best thing is that you'll always have the accurate data that you can trust. Looking at the data we see on the screen, this area took me about just under 2 hours to scan this kind of detail. The purpose for this was the client wanted to refurbish the inside of this entrance hall, and the scan data provided the accuracy that they required to do all the restorations that they needed to do.
So I think what's really great to see is how flexible once you invest in the laser scanning device or a FARO laser scanner, that you're you're flexible then with your device. Not only are you perhaps able to do mobile mapping and look at what you're able to capture whilst on the move, but also look at what you can do with terrestrial scanning. So being able to move the laser scanner around and really having a flexible device that you can use at your own disposal. So I think that's really fantastic. And I mean, the speed at which we can capture data and incorporate FARO and BeeMobile's intuitive software is certainly going to be changing the way we work. I really hope you've enjoyed the webinar this far. We've got some questions I see, Lisbeth. I'm not sure if you've spotted them in the chat box going forward. I know that the one question came up, it was mounting on a card. Do we have speed limitations? And I did see on your slide, Lisbeth, we've got 80 kilometers an hour is that maximum speed that we can reach? And it's suggested not to go beyond that?
Well, there's no maximum speed. You can really drive fast. No, it only has influence on the density. So you can drive extremely fast, but of course in a safe way. So there's no limitation.
Okay, that certainly makes sense. And then I think also asked if we've got comparison data of both cases. And I think what's being referred to there is obviously terrestrial scanning versus mobile mapping. Maybe I'm happy to share that with clients definitely afterwards to really have a look at a comparison between the two and see exactly what we're dealing with, apples for apples.
Yep.
So we'll certainly be able to do that. And then, of course, we've also got a question, and it's always the question is, what is the price? And just to be honest with everybody today, we've got pricing. We just haven't yet formalized it because, you know, we're so excited. But I will certainly be able to get pricing out to anybody who wants pricing today. So please, I'm urging you all just to pop through a chat to us and just, you know, leave us an email or, you know, say hello. I can get you all the information that you'd like to have a look at. And then I've got, there's a few more questions coming up, Lisbeth. I'm not sure. It says, what about the data acquired by BeeMobile's configuration? Does it have color information?
There is no colorized point cloud, so we have no camera. As explained in the presentation, it has no external camera. Probably we will release one end of this year, or let's say Q3, but it's something, and it's an additional camera. Let's say you can mount it on the BeeMobile if you already have one, so you don't need to invest in a new one, but there's no external camera. So it's grill scale point cloud as you have seen in the presentation.
All right. And then I see we've also got another question is what data can be achieved with tunnels, for example, railway tunnels or underground situations? And I even thought about that as I was looking at the presentation, you know, possibly mining tunnels. So is that also out of the question, or what data can we get from that?
Well, unfortunately, as let's say we have the APX20 on board, we do not use in DMI. And DMI is kind of a connection you have to your wheel, and then you can drive in tunnels. So we are really limited. So underground is not possible. The railway tunnels, it's let's say maximum for 10 seconds because you will lose satellite connection. You can of course solve this with having a DMI, but that's again making complexity on the BeeMobile, increase the price, and has influence on a lot of aspects. So there's a limitation of, let's say, 10, 15 seconds in tunnels, but it's not really developed for measuring underground or tunnels. So what my most customers do, they take some scans, let's say, or they do it by the Swift, or they use it on a tripod and they combine it with the auto measured scan data.
Right. Okay. And then I just see, sorry, I think the previous question just came back up again. Just client saying it's not clear. So point cloud will be colorized automatically, or any post-processing process would have to be done. So question mark.
Well, it can, for now, it cannot be colorized automatically, and there's no camera on the BeeMobile. There's no kind of a ladybug as you've seen with other systems because of several reasons. So there's no camera, you have the grill skate point cloud.
Okay.
Let's say if we will add probably a camera, let's say this year, then of course you have a camera and you will have the software, or we recommend you software, but for now it's not available.
Right, right. Okay.
Noreen, I want just to add one thing
Yes.
here, just to avoid confusion. If you are using the FARO Focus as terrestrial laser scanner, yes, you are activating the digital camera. And once you want to process the data in 3D documentation software, you have a colorized point cloud. But also colorization and the scanner, it depends on the AEC operator. So the operator, he's the right person who can make decision if you want to use the camera or not. I'm talking about terrestrial laser scanner, because adding the colorization, that's mean we are adding more time for scanning. So yeah, I think we can go on deep details if people want to understand how it works. But just to make it clear, if you are using the mobile mapping system with BeeMobile, there is no colorization because we are not using the camera for the focus. But if you are using the FARO Focus as terrestrial laser scanner, yes, of course, you can use the camera or you cannot use the camera. It depends on the deliverable that you want to give to your customer.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Abdullah. I think that definitely makes sense for sure. Okay. I'm just hanging on and seeing if there are any more questions. I haven't seen anything else pop
I
up.
have a question. I'm not sure if
Yes.
Lisbeth has a video who can share some deliverable, because I'm seeing some question if we have deliverable for the BeeMobile. I'm not sure if Lisbeth, you have some videos to share or not.
Well, yes, I will try. Give me 1 second so I can share some data. Let me just try to share. Okay. Abdullah, Nolene, or Peter, do you see the screen?
Yes. Yes, we see
Okay,
the
just to
screen.
be sure. Well, it's a really small data set. If I go too fast with rendering, just stop me because there's always a delay on the internet. Well, this is a really small project, but it shows you the density. And let's say this is really a 1.5 minute job. So
Wow.
this is a street, this is a round point, let's say it like this, a church in the middle and a small piece. But the driving speed was here about 15 kilometers an hour. You see here, we don't have the roof of the church, but what is really, let's say, good to see here is you see details like manholes. We drove on they're all cobblestones, so that means you can drive it everywhere. But what you can see here is you have quite detailed information. See, we can see this. So of course, the higher you put it, your BeeMobile is better. So it was here a small car, so you don't have, let's say here we have no points behind a wall around the church, but of course you see more details.
So if it's slightly elevated, you'll capture more information.
Yes, what you also
Right.
can see here, you see really quite dense details, like the windows here or positioning of the windows. So this shows you more like details.
Right.
This is one I can show. You see the markers on the road. You can even see signs. So that's perfect for road surveys analysis, more like smart cities. So that's a final output, and this is not colorized. This is grayscale. But what is good on this is the raw data. That means if you don't, there's no overlay of pictures, but you see really detailed aspects. Let's say it like this. But it's perfect for engineering. If you overlay and the overlay is not perfect fit, then probably you measure in the wrong way. But this is clear and accurate point cloud. I show you address. But this was really a 1.5. So here we see some signs for the carnival market. So you see here a lot of detailed things. This was a post-processing time in total, let's say drive and post-processing time about 20 minutes. If you do this, measure 1 to digit this on a tripod, I think you need to spend 6 hours or 4 hours. So this is a small one, but it shows you. So maybe a last point I would like to share with you is who is interested. Here you see scan lines, and they are really close by. That means we drove slow. The faster you drive, the more distance you will have between your lines. That does not mean that it is not accurate. The position of the laser is really accurate. But you have less density, that means you have less points. But if you want to measure here from one side to the other side, this is millimeter accurate. that's really important to know, and it depends on how you would like to be mobile. You want to use a BeeMobile, or what type of project do you have? So
Yeah.
I hope this helps people to give some information.
No, absolutely. No, I think that's great. Thank you, Lisbeth. Thank you. That certainly, it was great to see that, and just get a little bit more clarity on that. I haven't spotted any more questions coming up just yet, but I certainly will. We've recorded this webinar, so we're absolutely happy to share it with anybody if they'd like to rewatch the recording. And yes, certainly we want to, from our side, from Modernist side, reach out to clients who of course would like to, in future see this. We would like to get our hands on a BeeMobile and certainly be able to demonstrate it to the clients that we have here in South Africa. But I see, is there one more question that came up quickly there? Is there any examples of UAV scans with the Storm Bee?
I can provide this, that's not a problem.
Okay. Do you should we'll make that another time and we'll provide this data? So I will reach out and certainly share this information and data. Don't want to take up everybody's time. We've been chatting great this morning, and just to be respectful that people have got their days to get on with. But just wanted to thank you, Lisbeth, and thank you, Abdul, for joining us today, and thanks, Peter, for being here this morning. I think it's really been a great learning curve for all, and we look forward to starting great conversations with all our clients out there. So thank you very much. I want to bid you all a farewell and hope you have a wonderful day further.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.